Do you want to live a truly productive week? A month filled with real results? A life that allows you to look back with pride at the person you became? Then understand a truth that can change everything. It is not what you dream about that builds your life. It is the habits you repeat every single day. Because your future is not created by the promises you make on days when you feel motivated. It is created by the choices you keep making when the motivation disappears. A small change today may seem insignificant, but repeated every day, it has the power to transform the way you think, act, and see yourself. And when your identity changes, your entire life begins to change with it. The Stoics understood this. They knew that the greatest results do not come from extraordinary moments, but from quiet discipline practiced when no one is watching. That is why they trained the mind the same way warriors train for battle, with consistency, with purpose, and without depending on how they felt in the moment. And that is exactly what you are about to learn. 7 Stoic habits. 7 simple yet powerful decisions, capable of strengthening your discipline, restoring your energy, and eliminating the things that have been stealing your potential for far too long. Because productivity does not mean moving faster. It means stopping the waste of the strength you already possess. Maybe you think you do not have enough time, but most of the time, the problem is not a lack of time. It is the amount of energy being handed over to distractions, impulses, and habits that keep you stuck in the same place. The truth is simple. Results do not come to those who wait until they feel ready. They come to those who decide to begin. So before we continue, write this in the comments. Today I choose to win. Because a new life does not begin when your circumstances change. It begins when you change what you repeat every day. Let's begin. First habit. Start the day before your mind invents limits. There is a second every day when your entire life is decided. It is not a dramatic second. There is no background music. It is the second between the alarm going off and you deciding what to do with your body. Most people never realize that second exists. It passes quickly, disguised as tiredness, and they give in without even noticing they made a choice. But it is exactly in that moment that the kind of day, and ultimately the kind of person you will become, is decided. I am not talking about waking up at 5 in the morning. That is aesthetics, not discipline. I'm talking about something simpler and harder, defeating the first impulse to escape before it defeats you. When you hit the snooze button, you are not just gaining 10 more minutes. You are rehearsing a response, and the brain loves to repeat rehearsed responses. The neuroscience of habit calls this consolidation. Every time you repeat a reaction, the neural pathway for that reaction becomes easier to travel again. This habit seems small, but it seeps into everything. The workout you quit, the project you put off, the message you never send, the yes that turns into a maybe. Because when you start the day by giving in, everything else follows the same rhythm, the rhythm of avoidance. Marcus Aurelius knew this. In his meditations he wrote, "When the alarm goes off and the desire to stay in bed feels overwhelming, remember that you were created to act, not to hide beneath the blankets." It is a tough and truthful reminder. You were not born to bury yourself in comfort, but to grow through action. Getting up early does not mean waking up at 4 in the morning. It means defeating the first impulse that tries to steal your strength. It can be 6, 7, or 8. The time does not matter. The action does. The act of getting up before your mind starts inventing excuses. There is no negotiating with laziness. It always wins. Think about it. The mind is like a creative lawyer. It will argue, justify, and rationalize every excuse until it convinces you that staying where you are is the best option. But the truth is that in that moment, you do not need justifications. You need action. Getting up is pressing the internal button of discipline. It is telling your body, Now is the time. Even when you are tired, even when you do not feel like it, because it is in that first movement that you train the muscle of decision. Those who begin with firmness build consistency. That is why athletes, leaders, and people who build lasting things do not wait for motivation. They understood, before most people, that motivation is the result of action, not the prerequisite for it. They move first because they know that movement creates the mental state, not the other way around. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off, you will feel the same weight you felt today and yesterday, and you will feel it again the day after tomorrow. That does not change. What changes is what you decide to do with it in that exact second. Get up. Not because it became easier. It never does. Get up because by doing so, you are not just starting a day. You are rewriting quietly and with no witnesses the story you tell yourself about who you are. If this sparked something inside you, write this in the comments. Today, I decide before the excuse. Because in the end, nobody builds an entire life all at once. It is built second by second, decision by decision. And the first one happens every day, at the moment the alarm goes off and the world does not even know you are already on your feet. Second habit. Forget what people think of you. Keep a journal. There is a version of you that exists in only one place, on a blank page, before you decide what to write on it. There is a place where confusion becomes clarity, where scattered thoughts take shape, where disordered feelings find direction. That place is paper. But before talking about paper, I need to talk about the reason most people never get there. Shame. The shame of writing something silly, of admitting a fear on paper, of recording a weakness that, if read by someone else, could be used against them. That is why most people prefer to keep everything inside, and inside, without form, everything remains nothing but noise. Writing is not a luxury, it is an act of mental hygiene, not in the decorative sense of the phrase, in the literal sense. The mind, like the body, accumulates residue. Unprocessed thoughts pile up, blend together, and begin to weigh on you without you even knowing exactly why. Writing is the only process that forces that accumulation to move through a line, because you can only write one sentence at a time. Mental chaos, which seemed to have 1,000 layers happening at once, becomes a sequence. And a sequence, unlike chaos, can be understood. Many people believe they need the perfect journal, the right pen, beautiful handwriting, or inspiring phrases. But a Stoic journal was not created to impress. It was created to reveal. In truth, the notebook does not matter, the action does. What matters is taking a few minutes and letting out what has been trapped inside. Marcus Aurelius did this every day. He wrote to himself, not to impress others, nor to leave behind a legacy, but to train his own mind. And here it is worth repeating a detail that changes everything. He never intended to publish those pages. They were discovered after his death. That means every sentence was written without the concern of appearing wise, strong, or consistent, only with the urgency of someone who needed to understand himself before commanding an army, judging a law, or facing another day of war. It is that absence of an audience that gives the text its power. He was not performing wisdom. He was fighting for it, line by line. What we now call meditations was simply his private journal, where he recorded his inner struggle, reminding himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is born when you stop thinking only with your head and begin writing with your soul. Writing is not just about recording ideas, it is about organizing chaos. Science confirms this. When you write about what you feel, you activate areas of the brain connected to clarity, focus, and emotional control. You stop being inside the feeling and begin looking at it. And what can be observed can be understood. What is only felt in the dark can only be suffered. Studies show that this reduces stress and increases the feeling of control over your own life. It is like cleaning a fogged-up mirror and finally seeing your reflection clearly. Think of your thoughts as loose pages blowing in the wind. Without order, they get lost. But when you write, you gather those pages and turn them into a story. Pages that tell the story of your growth, preserve your clarity, and record your transformation. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, writes down every day what he read, what he learned, and even how many exercises he completed, not out of vanity, but as proof of who he is becoming. And that word, proof, is the key. Without a record, your memory rewrites the story either in your favor or against you, depending on the day. You forget how far you have come on bad days, and you forget how hard you have fought on the days when you feel weak. A journal is the only witness that has no interest in distorting the facts, because those who write with intention strengthen their identity. You begin to see patterns, notice mistakes that keep repeating, recognize feelings that return, and little by little gain greater mastery over yourself. You do not need to write pages. You can start with a single line, an idea that moved you, a mistake you do not want to repeat, a fear you want to overcome, or simply what you learned that day. What matters is that it is yours, sincere and present. That moment with the page is a mirror of the soul. It is where you stop running from yourself, meet who you were, connect with who you are, and plant the seeds of who you can become. For the next 7 days, write. 1 line a day, 1 reflection each night, 1 memory each morning. Because writing is planting awareness, and every true change begins there. If that decision is already taking root within you, write in the comments. Today, I choose to write my evolution. And because when you put on paper what you feel, you stop getting lost within yourself and begin truly to transform. Third habit, defeat the "I'll do it tomorrow" trap. There is a date in your life that you will never find on a calendar. The day you are going to really get started. It does not exist because every time it arrived, you pushed it a little further ahead. Seneca said that the greatest tragedy of life is not mistakes, but wasted time. Procrastination steals something from us that never comes back. The present moment. It is easy to say, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll take care of it later. I'll start next week." But that is the most seductive lie in the world. It seems harmless, and that is exactly why it is so dangerous. It works like a slow poison, self-sabotage disguised as an excuse. And what makes this lie even more effective is that it never asks you to quit. It only asks you to wait. Quitting would feel like failure. Waiting feels like being careful. That is why procrastination never feels like defeat while it is happening. It only reveals itself as defeat months later when you look back and realize that waiting for the right moment was, in practice, no different from never doing anything at all. Putting things off is like accumulating emotional clutter. Every ignored task becomes weight, noise, and takes up valuable mental space, the same space you could be using to create, act, and build. Procrastination does not save energy. It simply turns the energy of action into the energy of silent exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." And in this cycle, tomorrow repeats itself so many times that one day turns into years, and life does not wait as long as you think it will. For the Stoics, the value of action exists in the present. If something needs to be done, it should be done now. Procrastination is a form of arrogance. It is believing, with absolutely no guarantee, that time will still be available later. It is imagining that your energy will be the same, that the circumstances will be perfect, that the ideal moment will arrive. But deep down, you already know it will not. And here is what the Stoics understood, centuries before any modern study on the subject. The perfect moment is not a point in time that you are waiting to find. It is a construction your mind creates precisely to justify the waiting. There is no day when you will feel completely ready, completely motivated, and completely free of fear. That day is fiction, and while you wait for it, the only real time, today, keeps moving forward without asking for permission. Think of a house that has gone without cleaning for weeks. The mess builds up little by little until the environment becomes overwhelming. The same thing happens in the mind. Small decisions left unattended become large, invisible barriers. Seneca called this the greatest waste of life. Each day that passes is taken away from us, and when we postpone things, we trade the present, which is certain, for an uncertain future. So if something is bothering you, deal with it. Start with a single unfinished task. If there is a difficult conversation you have been avoiding, have it. If there is a decision that has been sitting there for weeks, make it. If you are waiting for motivation to begin a project that has never left the drawing board, stop waiting. Act, even without feeling like it. You do not need to solve everything today, but you do need to begin. Choose one thing that has been sitting still for days, months, or years. Take the first step today. An email, a phone call, a plan, a yes or a no. This week, face one unfinished task each day. Not because of urgency, but because of the freedom that comes from escaping the mental cycle of later. Everything you postpone becomes an anchor holding back the boat of your life, even when the sails are already raised. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." Do not wait for inspiration. Act with clarity. The power is in beginning. The result comes in the next step. And if you are ready to break the cycle of procrastination, write this in the comments. Today, I do what needs to be done. Because Seneca wrote about this nearly 2,000 years ago, and the warning still applies in exactly the same way. Not because procrastination has become stronger, but because time never learned how to wait for anyone. That decision, repeated every single day, may not change the world in an instant, but it permanently changes the direction of your story. And the only difference between the person who changes and the person who keeps postponing is that one decided to act before feeling ready, and the other is still waiting, to this day, for a sign that was never going to come. 4. Mental strength is action, not talk. Before any external achievement, there is a body that gets up. Staying still is not rest, it is surrender in disguise. Your body was created to move, to expand, to push limits, not to bend before a screen waiting for motivation to fall from the sky. Movement is more than a matter of health. It is a choice, the choice not to accept stagnation. It is saying with your body, "I am still here, and I will not abandon myself." And that sentence is not poetic by accident, it is literal. The body communicates with the mind in only one language, through action. You cannot think discipline into yourself. You can only act discipline into yourself. The mind watches what the body does and uses that as evidence of who you are. If the body retreats every day, the mind concludes, based on the evidence, that you are someone who retreats. Many people believe the Stoics were merely quiet thinkers, but the truth is that they were men of action. Marcus Aurelius was not only an emperor, he was also a military commander, a fighter. He practiced physical training and faced real battles. Seneca immersed himself in cold baths to train the body in toughness. Socrates walked for miles, strengthening his mind while hardening his endurance. For the Stoics, virtue was not an abstract idea to discuss in theory. It was something that had to be demonstrated through the body, under real discomfort. A man who philosophized about courage, yet ran from cold, pain, or exhaustion, had no philosophy at all in their eyes. He merely had a comfortable opinion. They understood that the body is the instrument of the soul. If the body is weak or inactive, no mental plan gains strength. There is a powerful story about former American President Theodore Roosevelt. As a child, he was asthmatic, frail, and physically weak. His father looked him in the eyes and said, "You have a brilliant mind, Theodore, but you need to strengthen your body." And that boy, at only 12 years old, replied, "All right, I will make my body strong." That was the beginning of what became known as the strenuous life, and the transformation of a sickly boy into one of the most vigorous presidents in American history. Seneca once said, "We treat the body rigorously so that it may not be disobedient to the mind. Without a strong body, the mind gives in. Without movement, discipline breaks, energy stalls, and even clarity begins to fade. You do not need to become an athlete. You simply need to move, because physical inertia feeds emotional stagnation. The person who conquers laziness in the body begins to conquer himself. Exercise is the training ground of discipline. When you move, even when you do not feel like it, you strengthen the most important muscle of all, consistency. And whoever learns to resist the temptation of inertia in the body learns to resist it in life as well. So make a simple pact. For 7 days, move every single day. It can be a walk, a stretching session, a dance, or a series of mindful breaths between your daily tasks. What matters is not the effort, it is the commitment, it is the message. I do not sit back and watch my life pass by. I participate in it. A motionless body teaches the mind to accept apathy. A moving body reignites vital energy. This is not about performance. It is about presence, about taking care of the foundation, not out of vanity, but out of integrity. Every step, every gesture is a silent reminder. I get up, I move forward. And it is through that repetition, day after day, that the body stops being an obstacle and becomes an ally, supporting the mind precisely when it needs support the most. Every step, every gesture is a silent reminder. I get up, I move forward. And it is through that repetition that the body awakens, sustaining the mind through difficulties. Because when you move with discipline, your mind learns to trust you. That is when true transformation happens. Fatigue turns into energy, apathy turns into direction. Move for the next 7 days, even if the world stands still, even if you do not feel like it, even without applause. Your body is listening, and it responds with more focus, more strength, more life. If that decision is already alive within you, write in the comments, "I choose to move forward. Steady mind, strong body." Because no one builds mental strength by talking about it. They build it by getting their body up once again, on the day when everything inside them was begging them to stay still. Habit 5. Make your sleep a priority. You want to wake up early, but you can't get out of bed. You want energy and focus, but you're always tired. You want results, but you ignore the basics. Your body needs rest. The problem is not only in the difficult mornings, it's in the way you end your day. You demand performance from a mind that is exhausted. You ask for good decisions from a body that is running on empty. And there is no trick that can replace sleep. Because sleep is not a pause, it is the heart of your mental reset. While you sleep, your brain organizes memories, regulates hormones, stabilizes your mood, and strengthens your ability to make decisions. It's like a command center carrying out invisible repairs. It's your maintenance system working at full capacity. Every night of poor sleep is not just temporary fatigue. It is maintenance that never happened, residue that remained, a debt your body records and collects later with interest. Neglecting this is like refusing to charge your phone and then complaining when it dies. You expect yourself to be present, yet you live with your battery constantly running low. Seneca warned about this centuries before science confirmed it. People fear death, yet spend their lives burying themselves little by little through sleepless nights, pointless distractions, and meaningless work. It is a harsh statement because it is accurate. Seneca was not speaking about sleep as physical rest alone, but as one of the places where a person repeatedly chooses between self-care and self-neglect. For him, wear and tear did not come from one major mistake. It came from the accumulation of small daily acts of neglect, each one too small to seem alarming, all of them together large enough to consume an entire life without the person even realizing it. Sleeping well is not just about health, it is a strategy. It is respecting your body as an instrument of your growth. Seneca cultivated quiet walks at sunset, contemplation, the habit of teaching the mind to become still. He understood that no restless soul finds peace, neither for living nor for sleeping. Marcus Aurelius had his own ritual as well. Before going to sleep, he wrote by lamplight, reviewed the actions of his day, noted his mistakes, and reflected on his decisions. He ended the day with awareness, not with haste. You do not need a smart mattress or expensive apps. You need intention. Create your own ritual. Turn off screens 1 hour before bed. Read something that elevates your mind. Say a prayer. Write one line in a journal. Take a deep breath. Give thanks. Close your eyes with ease, not with anxiety. Because sleeping well is not laziness. It is preparation. It is declaring, I respect myself too much to sabotage myself in the most basic detail. And if this awareness has already awakened within you, write in the comments, today I choose to rest so I can live well. Because every powerful morning is born from a night that was ended well, and every lasting result begins with the decision, repeated night after night, to treat your rest with the same seriousness that you give your most ambitious goals, because without it, none of them can be sustained. Habit 6, learn more, change more, grow more. If you're not learning, you're standing still. And stagnation is not rest, it's regression disguised as routine. It arrives slowly without warning, like a small leak in a boat. At first it seems like nothing, but before you realize it, you're already sinking into sameness, into apathy, into the feeling that the days keep passing, but you are not growing. Maybe you've felt that before, as if you were just watching your own life from the outside, seeing opportunities pass by without the energy to seize them. That's not bad luck. It's not a lack of talent. It's a clear sign that you've stopped growing. Learning is not a gift, it's mental survival. It's not just about books or degrees, it's about your ability to evolve through life, to reinvent yourself when challenges appear. The mind is like a muscle. If it isn't challenged, it grows weaker and falls back into the same patterns. Those who do not learn do not move forward. They simply go in circles like a broken record, playing the same song over and over until everything starts to sound the same. Seneca once said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. And that applies to every age, every stage of life, every path. Because when you stop learning, you begin living on autopilot. You react without reflecting, decide without awareness, suffer without understanding why. Neuroscience confirms what the Stoics already knew. Research from Stanford University shows that people who maintain the habit of learning develop what is called a growth mindset, the belief that they can improve through effort, even after failure. That mindset reduces the fear of making mistakes and increases the willingness to try again. Learning changes the way you think, feel, and act. But why do so many people stop learning anyway? Because learning requires effort, and the human brain prefers repetition over challenge. Because we live in an age of passive consumption, where it's easier to scroll than to reflect. And because comfort becomes addictive, staying limited to what we already know feels safe. But deep inside, it corrodes your sense of purpose, slows your mind, and cools your desire to grow. Look around. An entrepreneur who stops studying the market loses ground. A professional who refuses to stay current becomes replaceable. A relationship in which no one learns how to communicate turns into empty coexistence, and a person who no longer questions themselves begins to live by habit, but nothing flourishes in habit. It merely survives. That is why you must commit yourself to movement. You don't need to enroll in an expensive course or change careers today. Start small. Read 10 pages of a book that challenges you. Watch a class that expands your view of the world. Learn something new from someone younger or older. And most importantly, question your own beliefs. Ask yourself, is there a better way to think about this? That question opens doors. That question dismantles limiting beliefs. And that question, when asked with courage, puts you back on the road to growth. Because what is holding you back is often not a lack of opportunity. It is a lack of inner movement, and that movement only begins when you decide that you will no longer accept standing still. As Alvin Toffler said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Knowledge is there for everyone, but no one can learn for you. Learning is a pact with your future. And if you want a different future, you must learn something new today. So tell me, what are you going to learn this week? Write in the comments. Today I choose to learn, so I never stop growing. Because those who grow every day build a life where results are not luck. They are the natural consequence of who they have become. Habit 7. Don't neglect any area of your life. Have you ever felt like you lose control of yourself in small moments? A word spoken without thinking, a broken expectation, a complaint repeated over and over again? Sometimes we don't realize it, but it's in these details that life slips out of our hands. It's as if every thoughtless action hands a piece of our strength over to chance, and when all those pieces add up, what remains is the feeling of being carried by the current instead of steering your own boat. For the Stoics, control was not rigidity. It was wisdom in action, knowing what to do with what you feel, think, and desire. And this kind of control goes far beyond how much you spend or how many hours you scroll through social media. It is temperance, the art of using your inner strength to grow instead of using it to sabotage yourself. The first form of control is the one most often forgotten: control over dissatisfaction. Complaining feels like a legitimate release, but it is an emotional habit disguised as honesty. Every complaint you repeat reinforces your sense of helplessness. Every action gives your power back. People who constantly complain are not looking for solutions. They are looking for reasons to stay where they are. It's like being out at sea in a leaking boat. You can blame the hole, the wind, or the person who built the boat. Or you can grab a bucket and start bailing out the water. Most people complain and sink. Those who have control take action, and those who take action become stronger. The second form of control is invisible: expectations. You say, "I wasn't expecting this," as if the world were obligated to follow your script. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything that happens is expected by the person who understands the nature of life. Anyone who expects permanent stability is creating their own frustration." You expected the other person to be kinder, the day to be easier, the plan to work on the first try. But reality does not exist to satisfy your wishes. It exists to be faced with clarity. Control is expecting the best while being prepared for the worst. Another form of control lives in your mouth or in what you choose to let come out of it. Words spoken without thought are arrows that never return. Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Venting can bring relief, but it can also poison. Not every thought deserves to become a spoken word." Another area is control over impulses. The sudden urge to walk away from everything, the angry response fired back in the heat of the moment, the rush to prove that you're right. Impulse sabotages results. Temperance is taking a breath before reacting. Control is not weakness, it is strategy. And there is an even quieter form of control over your inner narrative. You can keep repeating, "That's just who I am," or you can choose, "I'm learning how to become someone different." That choice shapes your identity. And an identity repeated long enough becomes destiny. But pay attention, living with control does not mean living rigidly. It does not mean suppressing emotion, pretending to be indifferent, or avoiding pleasure. It means choosing consciously. Giving in when you want to, not because you are unable to resist. It means understanding that not everything is under your control, but your response always is. Over the next 7 days, practice this kind of control. Choose silence where a shout would have come, action where a complaint would have appeared, a pause where an impulse would have taken over. That is temperance, the quiet strength that directs chaos. And if that strength is already alive within you, write in the comments, "Today, I choose to master myself." Because it is not the world outside of you that determines your results, but what you do with the world inside of you. And at any moment you can begin creating results. Bring that certainty into your life. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know how to do before. Understand that your mistakes do not define you. They were the ground that prepared you for this new path. Maybe you're thinking, "I know I need this, but will I really be able to put it into practice?" That question separates those who merely wish from those who truly change. Knowing does not transform your life. Doing, even when you don't feel ready, does. You are stronger than you imagine. You can change your judgments, your attitude, your choices. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire of his time and still strengthened his character through philosophy. Seneca possessed great wealth, yet practiced voluntary discomfort to preserve his inner freedom. Epictetus owned nothing, yet taught that true power lies in living with purpose, not impulse. These Stoic habits are not rules designed to make you appear productive. They are practices that restore direction, rebuild strength, and reignite meaning. You don't need to change everything in 1 week, but you do need clarity. What kind of life do you want to build, and which life is long overdue to be left behind? Results begin when you believe in yourself and act with awareness. Choose one habit, just one, and start today. Every action planted now will produce greater rewards than you can imagine. Here at Stoic House, we turn ancient wisdom into strength for modern life. If these words speak to your soul, leave a like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again soon.